This is Mikamo Gomikellazoma, proudly dedicated spiritual Satanist since 2009. Tonight I'm going to be discussing the 6,000-year-old myth. I'll explain why it's a myth and where that all came from, why the entire world history, including the planet, the animals, all of humanity, and the entire universe must fit inside a 6,000-year time period. Just ridiculous. Okay, so first of all, I wanted to uh, I discussed a little bit about our galaxy, the Milky Way, and how all of the stars revolve around a black sun. It was thought to be a black hole by scientists, for years, but the stars orbiting the center of our galaxy tell a different story. There are several stars orbiting this large black object, like a black sun, and that's what it is really. There's no light emitting from it directly because no light can escape. The gravity is so dense it pulls all the light in, and therefore no light shows or is expelled from it. Um, it's super heated and super dense. The entire Earth, if it was right up close to it, would be crushed down to the size of a golf ball. Yet this black sun is many times larger than any known star that we are aware of. The stars that go around and orbit this black sun do so very quickly. Their entire year is a matter of just a couple days, or even a couple weeks, as they orbit around this black sun. The same way that this Earth orbits our sun. Of course, for us, it takes 365 days. For these stars, um, you know, it just takes a matter of just a couple days. And mind you, these are stars, okay, like our sun, not planets. So this black sun is actually forcing entire stars to move around it in an orbit. Very, very powerful. And these stars are orbiting in oblong elliptical orbits, random to the center. They're not arranged in any certain way. Some have longer, shorter orbits depending on the mass of the star and how close it is to this black sun. The same as planets in a galaxy. If it was a black hole, then it would be a black disk sort of shape. All the stars would have to go around it in a circle. They would have no choice, and this is not the case. So it's definitely not a black hole. And also, if it was a black hole, there would have to be a white hole on the other side and a tube in the middle, like a wormhole, for all this energy and matter to make its way to the other side. And it's like, where does it go? Well, nowhere. It's staying right there because it's just continuously compressed and has done so since the beginning of the galaxy. And also, the black sun, it doesn't seem to actually burn up. It's not like fusion is taking place. We really don't know everything about it at this point, but science is learning, and that's always a good thing. Okay, so it takes our galaxy, or it takes us, 26,000 years to make one revolution. Okay, to go all the way around this black sun, and this cycle is known as 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 precession. That's what I meant to say, precession, and the precession of the equinoxes follow. So, a little bit about precession. Each sign of the zodiac is accounted for throughout the 26,000 year cycle. Each age, lasting somewhere around 2100 years, 2160. You give or take a little. Each age could be just a little bit longer or shorter than the other. Um, I think that depends on the size of the constellation as well. Um, all right, so the ancients, particularly the ancient Egyptians, they built the pyramids to line up to the belt of Orion, to where Orion was at the lowest point on the horizon, which started the age of Leo, and this was some 10,500 years ago. Okay, and that makes a whole lot of sense. there's other information that's been coming out lately that also, uh, demonstrates that in order for them to have done all that large, massive construction, um, at that time it would have been very difficult because of the end of the ice age was happening and occurring right then as well. And this would have been a very, climatic, very, very difficult time for all this to take place, all this massive construction that would have been needed. A technology, of course, we don't have yet. Yeah, imagine that. Oh, yeah, but they built it with, rocks and some kind of copper chisels. Yeah, okay. All right, whatever. Copper's not a very hard metal. That's the first thing. It's very malleable. It's pliable. You can change the shape of copper very easily. You don't even have to heat it up all the way. It dents very easily. So, okay. So they built it to align to the belts of Orion, and that started the age of Leo 10,500 years ago. Right. But what I'm saying is that they must have built it much earlier. Most likely it was the age of Leo that preceded that age of Leo. So two ages of Leo back. So now we're getting into the time frame of at least around 38,000 years. Yeah, 38,000, not 12,000. And why is that? Why is that even a possibility? Why did I even mention it? Well, first of all, in order for the ancient Egyptians to have known, the precise time cycles of when the stars rise and the constellations rise and when they set and are at the lowest point on the horizon, when they could actually understand what age it is by looking at the stars, you must have seen the entire cycle. There's no way to do this without knowing what's going to happen, without a plan. You have to have seen it before. Okay, you don't just go, oh, I think this is how it's going to be. That's, yes, there is some predictive astrology, but that's getting kind of ridiculous, especially because they've never seen it. Oh, yeah, how do you predict that? It's really good, but when they've seen it before, of course, that makes a lot of sense. So you're looking at it, the pyramids being started the construction probably around 40,000 years ago. It's got to be before before that, before uh, the age of Leo begins. And why was it the age of Leo? That's because of the Sphinx that is sitting there looking at itself on the horizon. Okay. All right. And there's something else too. Those pyramids. Uh, they were not completely built by human hands. There's no way. We can't even do it now with modern construction. There had to have been some form of advanced technology, and that only could have come from the gods. They were here on this earth and took on the construction project of making the Great Pyramids in Egypt. Um, we helped, but it was mostly them doing all this. Most of, our gods that built this, the pagan gods. Okay, all right. And there are even older sites in Egypt. Okay, the Egyptologists, they say, oh, the pyramids are some 3,500 years old, or 5,000 years. They try to stretch it out. Again, they got to keep it inside the 6,000 year window. It just doesn't work. Okay, look at Puma Punku. Okay, this site is in Bolivia and sits some like 14,000 foot in elevation. Well, the common tree line around the planet, most trees stop growing at around 12,000 feet elevation. And this deals with precipitation and the temperatures that occur during those times. There's just there's not enough vegetation to sustain the soil to even hold the trees at that level. It all turns rocky. Um, there's not any roots in the ground to keep the soil stable. So, but this site in Bolivia, like I said, is well above the tree line. So you couldn't have rolled these blocks into place with any kind of ropes and pulleys and such. Um, and the legend there at Pumapunku, they actually, the natives there that are the ancestors of these people that were around at that time. They say that the entire site was built in one night by the gods. They actually know that, and it was built with the sound of a trumpet. They said so. We have some sort of like sound levitation, putting the blocks in place all in one night, and they're interlocking. Very difficult. It's almost if you try to make it out to where people built this, okay, just like humans built it. It's like, why would you make things as difficult as possible? And, just to, I mean, just build it. Just have something, some kind of shelter. Why make things extremely difficult? You just have to do some more research into it. I mean, Pumapunku actually has some of their the stones are actually cut with what seems to be a laser cutting. There's drill holes. There's routed grooves that can only be done with machinery equipment, like as if you're going to use like a modern lathe to a machine a very fine line. Another thing about the ancient Egyptian pyramids, the Great Pyramid is actually, instead of 4 sides, they built it with 8 sides, and that's a much more difficult construction. Um, why? Again, why make things as difficult as possible and then say to get it all done in 22 years? It's just one thing after another. It's like, no, no, that's wrong. Come on, people. You got to start seeing that there's a lot more to this. Uh, See, real quick though, before I run out of time and make a part two, maybe even the three, I don't know, to this series. But why 6,000 years, right? Okay. Well, according to the Judeo-Christian Bible, okay, and this is where it comes from. Okay, in Psalms and in Second Peter, they say a day with the Lord is like 1,000 years. Okay, all right. Well, that's that makes that makes absolutely no sense at all. But also it does explain Genesis as well because they want to fit the entire creation. That's what I started with. The entire creation, everything must be in that time period. So the whole of creation, everything in it, everyone can't exceed 7,000 years. And it just doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense. Come on. That was an allegory in the first place. That wasn't even about the creation of anything. I mean, just one look at the Grand Canyon, you can see it's 370 million years for a single river on a single continent to cut into the earth. Okay, it's just absurd. But you have to use a certain intelligence in order to get these answers. So I'll be right back with part two.